For public policy, I'm going to start with a little bit how our program is set up. Then we'll talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of writing for a policy audience. And then I'll give you a couple examples, including how to write your statement of purpose. At any time, if you have a question, you can either unmute yourself and just start talking, or you can raise your hand. And Olivia, if I don't see a hand raised, just go ahead and call that out to me.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm the Director of Writing and Communication Services. So that means writing and presenting. Everything we do here at the MIDP program is in-house. So we do writing assessments in-house during orientation. We have one-on-one coaching that's right here in the Sanford school. There's a few classes that I teach, and I tell everybody these are the best classes you can take at Duke because there's no homework. Instead, what you do is I explain a few communication principles. We do a couple short little exercises, make sure everybody's on the same page, and then you work on your own writing. For example, this Friday, the first year students all had a topic proposal due Friday at midnight. So Friday morning, we worked on that paper and had a chance in class to make some changes. Everything about how we teach writing and presentation is integrated. So I work very closely with the faculty and make sure I am aware of their assignments and make sure those are being pulled in. There's also times when I visit various classes. For example, I go to the introductory econ and policy course every Tuesday, Thursday, and I give feedback on people's presentation. So that's a little bit about our program. And one question is why? Why do you need so much support and encouragement? Well, it's not because you all are bad writers. You are all very good writers or you wouldn't be here. It's because policy analysis, policy writing is designed to match what you're learning in class and what you'll do after graduate. And that's not the same as academic writing. You're not coming to school to remember how to write for school. So I am not a policy person, so I'm a writing person. I've taught writing my whole career. But I've been here at the MIDP program for 16 years, and I've learned a lot about what policy writing is. The thing that I've heard over and over again are three things. So first of all, policy writing is client-centered. So you're writing for a single particular client. You're not writing while you're here or at your work for the academic world or readers in general. So that means you have to write very concretely. You have to write about who is doing what, not necessarily so much about ideas and the history of ideas. Your client is also very busy. They are a policy decision maker. They're not looking for a journal article or new knowledge. They won't be reading your paper slowly. So that means you have to write very concisely. The second thing that I've heard over and over is that policy analysis is action-oriented. The goal of academic writing is to create new knowledge, but that's not your goal. Your writing might include some innovative ideas, but the goal is to make a recommendation. So you have to write very clearly, very concretely. You're asking someone to spend their political capital, spend their time, spend finances. So your recommendation has to be crystal clear. Your argument needs to be clear. Finally, policy analysis is evidence-based. So you do research, of course, but for a very particular purpose. The job of policy analysis research is to understand the context of a problem. So what's happening in the country or region or city, that's your focus. You have to do research to understand the problem. So there's lots of bad policy that comes from not understanding the core of the problem. One thing that you'll hear in policy analysis many times is tell me why, then tell me the why of the why, then tell me the why of the why of the why. So yes, students are performing poorly on the PISA test, but why? And if the problem's with the teachers, well, why do the teachers have problems? You have to keep digging deeper till you get to the root of the problem. You also need to do research to understand the range of possible interventions. It's very easy to show up with some preconceived ideas of what the answer is, but you have to do some research to show is what are all the possible solutions and which one is the best. Because again, at the end, you need to make a recommendation. So what you'll be doing in policy class is you will be learning where to find evidence, what kind of evidence you need, and tools for doing some of your own analysis. Some of these tools are very unique to policy analysis. Some are more common. Let's pause here and see if there's any questions.
Dean,
yes?
we have a question in the chat asking about policy memos and if perhaps we have any examples or any resources online. Could you speak about that a little bit?
Sure. So I won't be sharing a template today. One of the interesting things about policy writing is there's many different deliverables. You have everything from white papers to strategy papers to short decision memos. So maybe that's what you're thinking about, a 3-page decision memo. The president of the university needs to decide this or that. What are the pros and cons? What are the criteria? At the MIDP program, students typically learn how to write longer policy analysis papers. Your master's project will be 30, 35 pages, and you will learn that form very well starting from your first semester, and you'll get reinforcement all along the way. I do have a series of videos that I produced this summer, and our IT team is currently working on sharing those in a website, and we'll be happy to share that with you. In terms of online resources, absolutely. Duke University spends literally millions of dollars every year subscribing to journals and keeping access to resources available through the library, both the physical library and online. My own teaching, my own class, just like other classes, they're all built around course websites, and those course websites are filled with resources. So thank you. 2 very good questions. Anything else about what is policy analysis? All right, so just to reinforce, the faculty, this is what they'll be focused on. How to find evidence, what is good policy evidence, and then my job is to help you cite that evidence well and use it well in your writing. There's art to it and there's a bit of science to it, and that's my focus. So there are a couple of things that make this clear, concise, evidence-based writing difficult. Primarily, it's your own good experience and the things you'll be reading and the people you'll be learning from. So a lot of the materials you'll be reading are academic. You'll be reading journal articles. You'll be reading very complex research at times. So researchers and academics write in a certain way. You'll be studying with and taking classes from these researchers. So their focus is developing that new academic knowledge. So you'll be surrounded by academic writing. But your audience, remember, is a policy decision maker, and those folks are often not academics. Their job is to help bring diverse decision makers to a conclusion and then to communicate these decisions to the public. So they are generally not academics. So you'll be reading academic writing, but you'll be writing for someone who's usually not an academic. Your past work, either as an advocate or as a project manager, can also have an impact on your writing. So advocates, they're picking a position and they're keeping that position out in front of the public and out in front of policy decision makers. So they're going to write in a very persuasive way. And it's the opposite of way a project manager might write. There it's all the facts and what happened. What you're doing is something that's in the middle of all that. So you're using evidence, you're using facts, and you're working towards not your position, but a recommendation. So there's a middle ground. It's a little bit like riding a bicycle. You'll need to find the right balance. For some of you, it's been a very long time since you were an undergrad. Perhaps you have another master's degree that you did more recently, but your study habits and your writing style for an undergraduate degree is probably going to be very different from how you write as a public policy student. So there'll be things you'll need to unlearn and relearn from your past, and you'll also be surrounded by academics, and you'll have to learn how to learn from them, but for the most part, not write like them. Again, that depends on the type of academics. Good economists are going to write very clearly and concisely, but that might be different from the way a good philosopher writes. Okay, all right, let's get into the writing part. One more idea. There is something that makes this writing easier. You'll be hearing this same message about clients and evidence in all of your classes. Of course, policy analysis, but also economics, also your electives, and of course in my writing classes. So you'll get reinforcement towards what is good policy writing everywhere you go. Okay, let's dive into writing. A lot of my ideas from writing that I'll be sharing come from a book by Joseph Williams called Style, Lessons in Clarity and Grace. There's a slide at the end that I'll show you. Take a look at sentence 1A and 1B. So which one is easier to read? Why is B easier? What makes it easier to read? Active voice, more concise, less rambling. Grammatical structure, it's more concise, less words. Yes, it is less words for sure. I'm going to say the grammar. So the grammar structure is clearer. I agree with that, but I'm going to say it's not the grammar structure. Both of them have perfect grammar. There's nothing wrong with 1A. In fact, the grammar is a little more complex. So sometimes I say it's hard to write this poorly. Definitely less rambling. But technically 1A is not the passive voice. Both are in active voice. The was, taking, that's the past progressive tense. So both are active voice. So there's something else going on, not just passive voice. But that's the right idea. Let me give you a hint. Take a look at the subjects and the verbs. So in 1A, the grammatical subject is was a walk. A walk was taking place. So the subject and verb is a walk was taking place. And in the second part, what's the subject, what's the verb? Jump occurred. So do you see the problem here? So the subject and the verb, the core of the sentence, are abstract ideas. A walk was taking place, a jump occurred. The real actors are Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf, but they're not in the right place. So English was designed to tell stories. We like our subjects, we like our verbs, and we like the main actor and their action to be placed in the subject and verb. So when you take them and move them even just a little bit, it makes it harder for the reader to find. They're looking in one place and the real action is happening somewhere else. Has anybody ever lost something in the pantry or in your refrigerator because it's on the wrong shelf, right? You're looking for the milk. It's on the top shelf. It's usually in the middle, and it just takes you an extra second to find it. So this slows down the reader, and now they have to think about what you're saying, and it's hard. They don't have a chance to think about the content itself. They're just trying to figure out what you're saying. So in the second example, the subject is Little Red Riding Hood. What she was doing was walking, and then the wolf jumped and frightened. Everything is in the right place, and there's no distractions. Let's look at a more serious example here. So look at 1A and 1B. And again, in the chat, feel free. What do you see happening in 1A and 1B? So look at the subjects, look at the verbs. Active, passive, what's happening here? So 1B is just more clear, and our schools have failed. It's very easy to misread 1A because everything's out of place. Let's go through the same exercise. Let's look at the subjects and verbs. So the cause is. So does that sound like an academic argument? Well, academics are often writing about causes and the history of ideas. So I'm not going to say academic writing is bad writing and policy writing is good writing. It's the readers are different and the goals are different. So academics want to understand how an idea developed. Where did it come from? What is that idea doing now? Policy decision makers, they may be curious about the history of the idea, but they're more focused on what do we do now? So sometimes you need that understanding, but the bottom line is we need to make a recommendation. So who are the real actors and what is the real action in 1A? Well, it's our school and failure, along with not understanding. But again, those actors and actions are not the subjects and verbs, so it's just a little harder to follow this sentence. If you put everything in the right place, you have our schools have failed because they do not understand. And also notice this is the first time children are involved in the policy analysis. For the last sentence, someone noted more concise, fewer words. In this case, our more clear sentence is a little bit longer. So using less words is not necessarily going to lead to clear writing. So our schools have failed. They do not understand how cultural background influences the way a child learns. So here we have an agent that we can address in our policy analysis school. And we have a focus for this policy analysis, which is the child. Right. And when you do this, it does establish the causal relationship more clearly. But I'm going to say the primary problem is the subjects and verbs, the actors and actions. The cause of our school failure is not understanding. Our schools have failed because they do not understand the flow of ideas is the same. It's just easier to follow when everything's in the right place. All right, let's move on to maybe a more pressing topic, which is writing a statement of purpose. So I've read hundreds, maybe thousands of policy papers, and I've definitely have read hundreds of statements of purpose. And there's some very common problems and some easy fixes for those problems. So what is a statement of purpose? Well, fortunately, the title says it all. It's what you say about your purpose. A statement of purpose helps the organization get to know you, your hopes, your interests, your dreams. Their goal, and it should be your goal, is alignment. So a bad strategy is to try to guess what the readers want to hear, and you say those things, even if they don't fully express your purposes. So occasionally a student will apply to our program, and what they want to do is build their business or increase their management skills, or become a better advocate for a policy that they have devoted much of their life to. There is some overlap with those goals and what you learn at a public policy school, but there's going to be some places where the goals are different. And at the very least, you need to know what those differences are, because otherwise you're going to be frustrated and you're going to have a difficult time adapting. So this doesn't mean if you want to grow your own business, you can't come to a policy school. In fact, there's a lot of overlap there. But you need to be aware that the way you're improving your skills are different from the way the business school is improving those skills. A statement of purpose is not a place to review your accomplishments. I've read many of these documents that is just a narrative of the resume. So first I did this, and then I did this, and I went to school here, and I studied these things. So all of that is on your resume, and so you're losing an opportunity to say something different from your resume. Finally, organizations want to see how well you can write and how well you can organize an argument, not how well you can tell the story of your career. So these are some missteps that many writers and applicants take. So, restating the facts that are in your resume, not answering the primary question, and just being too vague. I want to focus on this middle one, not answering the primary question. So the name of the document is the Statement of Purpose. So US readers, especially a busy policy audience, they want the bottom line up front. So the very first paragraph should have your purpose. Many applicants do have a purpose, but they wander to it and name their purpose at the end. So I want to help my country close the rural-urban divide, right? Well, that should be in the first paragraph, and then you build from there. So one reason why this is common, because philosophy academic papers often are written this way, and a few other disciplines. You have to prove that you know enough to make a new point, and so you make that point at the end. But policy readers are not interested in that. They want to hear your point at the beginning, and then they want to be able to examine your evidence. So we want the bottom line up front. This is what you see in a lot of journalism. You know, the headline will be "The world is ending," and see below for details. That's what you need in policy writing. That's what you need in a statement of purpose. And that's what the organization wants to see that you can do. Can you make this argument about your purpose, a topic you should know well, in an organized way? So here's an outline that I highly recommend. So your introduction should be your purpose. So I want to help displaced refugees receive better education. And then the body of your document can talk about your past, present, and future, how those things align with your purpose. For the past 5 years, I've worked with refugees from Syria. I've seen the harm that can come when children aren't given a good education. My current job is curriculum design. I want to come to Duke. I want tools to learn how to work not just on curriculum, but on the policy that affects the development of these curriculums. So writing an effective statement purpose. So understand the goals of a statement of purpose, avoid these mistakes, and here's an outline that I recommend. I mean, if every school you're applying to is a public policy school, yeah, then your purpose is going to be very similar. But yeah, especially towards the end when you're saying, you know, I'm looking forward to everything your school can do for me. That's pretty vague. And I think it might show up in different places. So at the beginning, I said, you know, be true to yourself. Talk about your hopes and dreams. But there's probably some ways Duke aligns better than some other school, or some other school aligns better with Duke. So the essay is a chance for you to think about your history and think about what parts of it are the most relevant. I think what you hope to do, perhaps it's impacting your present. You're already in the place you want to be. You're already doing some of the work that you want to continue to do. And you're coming to Duke to improve your skills. About maybe a third to a half of our students are government officials, and they are doing work that they will go back to do, but they're coming here because they want to improve their schools. Other students, though, are making more of a move, perhaps in the area they're working in or their contribution. So perhaps you've worked for an NGO, maybe you've done a lot of program implementation, maybe you have your own organization, but you want to pivot and do something a little bit different. Now you want to focus more on the policy side. So I think depending on your background and what your present is, so what you hope to get out of the program could be touched on in the present portion of a statement of purpose or in the future portion. So that's a really good question. Thank you. So Melissa is asking about academic experiences. Absolutely. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about in the past. So maybe as far back as undergrad, it could even be a high school experience. Um, you went on a field trip, you saw something, or you took a class and you learned something, and that spoke to your motivation, helped develop your motivation for doing something. Um, so absolutely, a class that you took uh, could be very relevant. It could be more technical. So maybe you took a statistics class that opened up a whole new way of looking at the world, and you want to build on that. Um, or there's some research technique you've learned and you want to build on that because you see it can help you change the world. And this is a place where I can make a little pitch for not using AI. So AI can definitely spit out a statement of purpose in a few seconds, but its voice is going to not be yours. It's going to mute some of the details. It's going to take away some of the edge of the experience, and it's going to push it towards the same generic writing that all AI uses. This may sound strange to you, talking to the writing and public speaking instructor, but I and all the faculty and all the staff, we would much rather hear your voice, even if there's a little bit of an accent in the voice, or even a few, small mistakes. It's much better that we hear from you rather than kind of a glossed over version of you. One of the goals of a statement of purpose is alignment. So, so it's helpful for us to see that you understand what you're aligning to. So do you understand the program? Olivia, do you want to jump in here?
Please. Thanks, Dean. So yes, I think it's exactly what you just said. We are looking for that alignment. It doesn't mean that you have to go into detail, too significant of a detail, I would say, because we recognize students are applying to many different schools, and at the end of the day, the SOP should be mainly about yourself. However, it can be really helpful to see if you understand our program is very practical in nature, it's very impact driven. And if you are looking for an impact driven program, that's an immediate, oh, fantastic, we're on the same page. This program is going to help progress you to your future. If you are applying to a whole bunch of public policy schools and it's pretty clear that you are giving just a blanket statement of what you're looking for in a program, that can be a little concerning because our programs are really different across the board. And so at the end of the day, we are asking a little bit, well, why are you choosing us? Why does our program stand out to you to help you progress your personal and your professional goals? So I think your examples of listing a class or a professor, sometimes that can be really helpful. It doesn't necessarily need to be included in the SOP, but some sort of demonstrated knowledge that you have in fact taken the time to really look at the program and understand that yes, it is a good fit for you. So that way we can read, are you a good fit for us, and are we a good fit for you?
Olivia, I think the next question in the chat is also for you.
Great, awesome. So yes, the MIDP program, that stands for the Master of International Development program. That is a mid-career program here at Sanford. And so we require a minimum of 5 years of work experience. And the curriculum is designed to help mid-career professionals. So we have a few foundational courses that are mandated for all students. But then beyond that, there are many different elective courses. And you have what are called areas of focus to help you guide your curriculum to fit your needs and what you're looking for. It's very flexible in nature because we allow you to select courses within Sanford as well as outside of Sanford. So that can be the Duke Law School, the Business School, the Nicholas School of the Environment. You can even attend classes through an interinstitutional agreement at local universities as well. So if we don't have the exact class you're looking for, but you see UNC Chapel Hill does, you can still take that class. So it is very much a mid-career program. Now, I do believe that we also have some MPP interested students on the call. And so I will add that our Master of Public Policy program is an early career program. So that program does not require any work experience, although they do prefer at least 2 years. So that can sometimes help strengthen your application for scholarship purposes as well as admission into the program. But it is designed differently. It has quite a few more foundational required courses because they're going to really recognize that you are much earlier in your experience and knowledge and skill set. And so that curriculum is designed to help provide much more of a foundation as a starting point rather than developing your skills as someone who has that minimum of 5 years of work experience. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Really, really a pleasure. And thanks, Dean.